preach this specific sutra is one group of monks come to the Buddha and they got some advice to practice meditation. It happens in style in Buddha's time. A lot of monks come to the Buddha and they seek some advice to practice meditation. So in this case also, group of monks came to the Buddha and they asked some advice for practice meditation. So the Buddha taught them some kind of meditation, and they went into a forest monastery, forest place, and they start to practice meditation. So what happened was there were some non-human beings. Right? I think we briefly discussed something about it. Right? Not gods, some sort of gods or ugly ghosts or something. Right? They started to make some noises and some sort of bad smells. So the monks were so uncomfortable. Right? So they were unable to practice the meditation the way the Buddha preached them, advised them. So what happened was later that they realized everyone was so uncomfortable, and they got together and discussed the matter and went to the Buddha and informed what happened to them. And then the Buddha taught this particular discourse, the sutra. Then after that, after learning this meditation method and this particular sutta, they went to the same place and they practiced meditation. And the non-human beings who disturbed earlier, they start to kind of like having some like to the monks, So nobody disturbed the monks. So monks practice the meditation and they reach their goal. So that's a behind story of this sutra. So let's see what this sutra or the discourse means. Okay? Can we recite all together? First stanza. Karaniya matta kusalena yantam santam padam abhisamicca sakko ujuca sujuca suvacho chassa mudu anatimana suvacho chassa mudu anatimana. Okay, so this sutra the Buddha explained karaniya mattama yantam santam abhisamicca yantam santam padam. Here santam padam means our final goal. What is our final goal? Nibbana, right? Santam padam means Nibbana. So this is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness, having glimpsed the states of perfect peace. Let them be humble, honest and upright, gentle in speech, meek and not proud. So here it explains, he who is skilled in doing good and who wishes to attain that state of calm, right? State of calm, which means Nibbana, should act thus. So Karaniya means somebody should be able to do or act, right? So there are like number of things that you have to do. For an example, the first one, sakko, right? Sakko means you should be able, right? You should be skillful in doing what? It explains later. The first one, you should be able or skillful doing what? The first one, upright. Do you get some idea what does it mean upright? Generally, what it means upright. Straight. Yeah. So here, what it means, upright means honest. Honesty. Right? You have to be honest. Honest with what? You have to practice these teachings honestly. Not to deceive somebody or not to showcase or something like that. You have to be honest. Honestly practice the teachings. Right? So you should be able to be upright. Right? Honest. When perfectly upright. Here, Chamin Master, a bit different.
I know that is we'll go with on your one.
Yeah, I think it would be quite easy.
Yes, exactly. This is a little bit more. The one I printed out is from. We can leave that. And
no, still you can learn that.
Yes.
So I will go with this.
Yes, okay.
Explain.
Not
so
the printer I
you,
did, but the other one.
Yeah, you
Yes,
you can share it.
Yes, you can. Here, you also. You too.
All right. So, he who is skilled in doing good. All right. So, should be able, the first quality, and upright, honest. Right? The second one. The third one is perfectly upright. Not just honest. You should be perfectly honest in your practices. Okay, that's the second one. The third one, obedient. Whom you should be obedient. To whom? So, in spiritual path, that in this sense of spiritual path, that we can say what the Buddha has said. Right? So we as followers, that we have to we obey what he has said to us. And for you kids especially, that you can apply for like parents or teachers, right? It's also helpful. So obedient and gentle and humble. Right? When you practice these teachings, you have to be gentle and humble. You get these ideas, right? It's not very difficult to understand. So, if we look at the monks in the Buddha's time, especially when we talk about being obedient, gentle, and humble, there's a monk. He was Rahula, the son of the Prince Siddhartha or the Buddha. Right? He was so obedient, even though his father was the Buddha. He was so obedient. And sometimes the other monks wanted to check his behavior. So what the other monks do, when Rahula Bhante sweep the garden or the compound, after cleaning the thing, the other monks again put some garbage. So what Rahula Hamdru do is that he do not complain. He cleaned the garden, and even he did not do that, he apologized. So that's how he was humble and gentle. So there are 5 qualities. Should be able, right, skillful, upright, perfectly upright, obedient, gentle, humble. 6. Then the second stanza, Santussakocha Subharocha. Repeat me. Santussakocha Subharocha. Appa Kichocha Sallahuka Vutti. Appa Kichocha Sallahuka Vutti. Sallahuka Vutti. buddhi. Santindriyocha nipakocha. Santindriyocha nipakocha. Appagabbo kulesu ananugiddho. Appagabbo kulesu ananugiddho. We'll see what does it mean. Santussakocha. Santussaka means you have to be contented. You have to be happy person. Right? Can you be a happy person? You have to be able to be a happy person with the things that what you have and what you do, right? So you have to have good mindset how you can be happy, right? Today, the people forgetting everything and they seek happiness through sensual pleasure. Right? You know what I mean, sensual pleasure? What does it mean, sensual pleasure? The pleasure that we gain through our senses, seeing good things, listening to something nice, right, music or whatever, and taking good food always, right, and all those things like five senses. And Buddhism does not encourage that. Is pretty much, right, like lay people, you can have the sensual pleasure, but I think I mentioned earlier that you have a frame with the five precepts that you can enjoy the sensual pleasures, and that we have to have the idea that you cannot be 100% satisfied, right, with having sensual pleasures, right? It has a lot of consequences. So having that idea that you have to be able to happy what you have, not to be a slave for what? Sensual pleasures. Okay? So generally people think to be happy they want more money. Right? Yes, we want, but there is no limit if you do not have some kind of special attitudes, right? Because cravings have no limit, right? So we have to be able to happy what you have and not to be a slave for the sensual pleasures by seeking happiness, right? So there are a number of happinesses in Buddhist teaching. If you lead a good life, moral life, right, when you look back, that you can be happy, right? That's called anavajjasukha, right? About your good behavior. And when you do some virtuous things, like maybe practicing some generosity or something like that, doing some good deeds, that you can be happy. That's called spiritual happiness or immaterial happiness, right? So these two happinesses that we should have some idea, and as I mentioned earlier, that we should more focus on kind of like spiritual happiness, right? And not the sensual pleasure. Yes, you can have, but as I mentioned, not to be a slave to that. So the contented, happy, right? You have to be a happy person.
Otherwise you think that you can only be happy with the sensual pleasures.
Sensual pleasures.
So you always crave, like some people, it might be chocolate for them.
Yes.
They think that the chocolate makes them happy. And then they get addicted to the chocolate.
Yeah. So yes, there, as I mentioned, there is no end.
Yeah.
You jump one thing to other, one thing to other. Okay? So you have to have that idea what is happiness. Then easily supportable. What does it mean, easily supportable? Tanisha? Am I right? Tanisha? What do you think, easily supportable? easily supportable. Easily supportable means that there are some people that they think they cannot do something without having something, something special. Right? Easily supportable means that you have to be able to use the things what you have.
So kind of like being flexible.
Being flexible, exactly.
Not being really rigid. An easygoing kind of person.
Yes.
You understand?
Do you get it?
Yeah, that's
Shania?
yeah, that makes sense.
Tanisha, do you understand that? Easily supportable. So some people, they stick with some special things. They say that they can't do without having those special things. Right? No. So easily supportable means that you have to be able to get things done with what you have. As you said, flexible.
So like if you're with the transport, you can't say I can only go in a car, it's air conditioned. You should be able to walk or catch the bus. So take whatever's there to get
Yes.
from A to B.
If you want a pair of shoes, it doesn't have to be a Nike. It can be a $5
Absolutely.
pair of shoes from Big W. Will do the same job.
Yeah, I mean, so I've read an article about Warren Buffett. Have you heard that Warren Buffett?
Yeah. You know Warren Buffett? That's because you don't read enough.
He's
Warren Buffett is one of the richest
one of the billionaires.
billionaires.
Yeah. Once I read about him, he says that I've never worried about brand names.
Yeah.
I just buy some clothes which fits to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
A
right.
lot of the billionaires, they dress very simply,
Simply.
like plain white shirt, jeans.
Yeah, so people,
I think Warren Buffett is a very special
Tradition.
character.
yeah,
He never did that, but some of the billionaires do that as a fashion, just to wear cheap clothes. But Warren Buffett always had that. He was no fiber jets and
yeah,
all
he was
that.
he was living for a long time in the same house,
Same
simple
house.
house.
Same house.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that we should not try to showcase something that we do not have. Right? We have to be like down to earth. Right? Should not try to show something that we do not have, status or whatever. Right? If you seek them, something like that, to build up some sort of, fake identity, that you'll have to do a lot of things to cover up.
Yes. Correct.
You get what I'm saying? So, being easily supportable is very easy to lead a good life with less problems, right? When one try to show some fake status, it's very difficult. Then maybe having some stresses or anxiety, everything comes with those things. But if you are simple, so less problems, right? But when I'm saying these things, but almost all the people go the different way, opposite way, right? Mostly. But you may be seen as a little bit different or crazy or something like that, but it's not our business, right? So easily supportable is one of those qualities.
And I think for the younger generation who are brought up on social media, understanding what is real and what is not real. Sometimes we see, right, images on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and everyone's life looks perfect. Oh, they have all this high-fi or materialistic stay famous, but understanding that that's not necessarily their life.
That's
Because
not
they
the real
should-
life.
yeah.
That's fake.
So you shouldn't have that expectation either, because that's when you become anxious or worried, or I'm not like that, I'll never achieve that.
Yeah. So, what is my advice is for especially youngsters, try to keep them away as much as possible. Facebook, Instagram, all those things. Because if you look at those, things, what they simply show, people, even they share what they're going to eat in the restaurant. So simply it seems like, hey, look, we are having some great time, which you do not. That's the kind of mindset of a lot of people today.
I think Facebook on all these things were invented wanted to connect each other that you have in the past, but it has now taken to a different angle.
But we can interpret any different ways, but what really happening is horrible. They do everything to keep in touch with those things.
No, because I think I had the very similar thing I was telling my wife. I don't look at Facebook in the mornings because I used to first thing both of us we did it. It's not like we can't lie. First thing is you get up first thing is and take to see who is doing what, where somebody is. So then that mind, that is what, and then you're confused early morning.
Well,
and then you're wondering about what is happening there, what is happening here, who is doing that.
100% unnecessary stuff, garbage. You put into your head all these in what he has done, where he has gone, all these people, and when you have free time, you think, okay, he has done this, he has done that. Right? That's what happened. Those things. I think I taught you that, like feeding the beast. Right? So there are some videos of a billionaire, Sri Lankan born billionaire called Chamat Palihapitiya. Have read about him?
I've heard about it in the US.
US. And there are a lot of talks that he has done about those social media, Facebook and all these things. How they affect to the humans' behavior. Like he says that you see some hearts and likes of your pictures, it creates some sort of like a hormone called dopamine, which is same when you take drugs or something. So it's very uncomfortable if you do not have that. So you seek it.
To that feeling.
Your feeling. So that's how they keep you attached with those social media and things. Right? So let the people who want to do that, maybe your friends or whatever, you have to keep a limit. Otherwise, you won't be able to lead a peaceful life. Right? So we went from easily supportable. Then with few duties. So today's people do not have time. So much busy. Why? For what they seek. So that's why I'm saying that we have to have some sort of different attitude about the life, about the happiness, about the things that we have to achieve, what the life is, and all about these things. Right? If you do not have some kind of special attitude, that you will be kind of like a slave for sensual pleasure or whatever, craving or whatever. So you'll have to work always to earn something, to maintain your status and all these things. Right? So with few duties, Is anything to clarify about that? Few duties? This is the Buddhist life.
So it's trying to take that middle path,
Middle path, yes.
Not to be lazy either.
Yeah, it
but
doesn't
not
mean,
to-
yes, it doesn't mean that
try
it,
to sign up for everything and
yeah.
say yes to everyone and you understand the duties, but like my friend in Sydney, she was just texting me yesterday and she's working non-stop and she's realized that it's affecting her mentally and physically and now she wants to resign because she's overworked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to have some time to spend the time with family members, you know, with children and wife and husband, and having some jokes or whatever, you know. You have to have that time. So that's very important with a few duties. Then simple in livelihood. Simple in livelihood. I mean, it's like all wrapped up there, right? What we've discussed from the beginning. Simple livelihood. So the Buddhism encouraged people to live in good life, which means that you have to earn wealth in good ways. You know, that we do not encourage people to do some bad things, like for an example, selling some drugs or alcohol or something like that, and engaging something like human trafficking or whatever, and killing and all these things. So you have to find good or right livelihood. So
that's in particular to the type of job.
I mean, how you find, how you make the, your living, you know. So then, simple, controlled incenses. Controlled incenses. What does it mean? Santindriyocha nipapocha. Shanaya, what do you think?
It's like having a balance of like.
Well, what are the senses?
Like your
Five senses, yes. Controlled in senses. Tanisha, what do you think? Controlled in senses. You know five senses, right? What does it mean, control? You? What's your name? I forgot your name. Shahin, I'm sorry about that. Shahin, what do you think about controlling senses?
What do you think about five senses?
Is it complicated?
Not wanting to buy everything you see or wishing for,
Yeah. So simply that controlling senses means that if you do not have idea about those sensual pleasures, like, then you do not have control over the seeing the good things, right? Maybe movies or whatever, but you want to see them always. You're driven by those desires to see those things, right? When to hear something good, like maybe music or whatever, you know, you have to be able to control those sensual desires, right? For example, like food, right? If you do not have control in the tongue senses. That'll happen. I think I can't remember whether I told you this. There is some saying in a book that some people cut their throat with their tongue. Have I told you that? No. Some people cut their throat with their tongue. Do you understand that? Kiara, right? Kiara, what do you think? Can you cut your throat with your tongue?
I think it just like means that like they like trying to stop. Like,
It's not. I mean, direct mean. It's kind of like metaphor.
yeah.
Try not to eat too much food.
Not to eat. Eat too much. That's you. When you eat too much, when you do not have the control in your tongue sense, tasty. You seek too much tasty, which means you eat a lot of things. Right? Then you get sick and you are done. Do you get my point? No? Tanisha? It literally means that you end your life because you cannot control your desire for tastes. Do you understand that?
Yes. So the tongue that's craving all these, whether it's spicy food or sweet food, it's craving it so much that you end up eating so much that you end up, the tongue is what's causing your death.
There, that's what simply means.
Yes. You understand? So basically being greedy.
Greedy, yes.
You see a piece of cake, rather than just having one slice, you might have slices.
Do you understand that?
Control that.
Is it clear?
yeah.
So it's one example. So we can apply for all the senses, right? I mean, if you do not have control to see something specific always, so you maybe end up blind. Listening the same. The bodily contacts also same. So it's extremely important to be able to control the senses. If you do not control, or if you are not able to control your senses, what will happen? So one thing I explained that you not only die, you'll have to go through tremendous sufferings. So a lot of disease and a lot of things, people have to face because of this, and people like addict to maybe alcohol or drugs. Why? The reason they do not have control the senses. So it's very important to be able to control the senses or sense desires. Then discreet, not impudent. Discreet? What does it mean, discreet? Kind of like nipaka means kind of like very skillful to solve problems or something. Yeah. What does this simply means? Discreet? Ruanki?
Discreet, not be obvious. Not be, if you're going to do something, if you're saying you're doing a good deed, just do it quietly. You don't have to tell the whole world about it.
Alright, so here the discreet means, the Pali term is nipaka, which means that you have to be smart enough when you do something or solving problems or something. You have to be smart, right? So there was a nice story that I think I read somewhere or I heard. When an artist who draws pictures, that he's drawing a huge one with huge steps, the huge one. So he was drawing the picture like so. At one point, like he was coming back with watching what he was drawing. So it's a very tall stage that he was drawing the picture. So there was nearby a helper as well. So the helper noticed something, that the artist who drew the picture, that he was going backward, looking at the picture and forgetting all the other things. So once he realized that if he step one step backward, he will fall down. Right? Have you heard that? So the nearby one, the helper, he didn't have time to do anything. But what he did was, there was a bucket of ink, and he got the bucket and threw it in the picture. And if he didn't do that, that artist would have fallen and faced death. So some kind of, so you have to be smart enough to solve problems, or as she said, doing whatever you do smartly, right? Simply the being wise, right? Then not impudent. Impudent means something like you are not flexible to listen to somebody, right? You are like arrogant, right? Something like that, like that, like.
We think we know it all.
Hmm?
Sometimes we think we know it all, but we should be able to listen to others' advice.
Yes.
Or recommendations.
And when we are given some advices or something like that, when some kind of new suggestions to do something, we have to be able to listen at least, right? That's really, appreciated quality in the spiritual path, right? Then the last one, not greedily attached to families, specifically for monks. Okay, don't worry about that. So anyway, so it's still that being attached to anything is not good, right? So maybe parents towards children towards parents. What the Buddhism emphasizes is that do the rights and the duties and the rights. That's what the Buddhism emphasizes. Parents have the responsibilities to children. The children have the responsibilities towards the parents. Right? Yes, we can't say that you should not have the attachment. It's impossible. For the parents to the children and children to the parents. But we have to have some understanding one day that we have to leave them. Right? So what happened recently in Turkey and Syria? Within a few minutes, everything gone. Right? So are we free from those kind of situations? No. And even we have faced those kind of incidents in our maybe in previous lives. So when we hear these things as Buddhists, how we should react. How we should react, that we can generate compassion towards those people who are affected, and most importantly, that we should be able to develop some sort of, there is a word called Pali in Samvega. It is translated to English as sense of urgency. Right? When you contemplate, when you think deeply about those things, that you have to be able to improve your spiritual practices. That's what you call Sangvega. Right?
Is that like when something happens, we always tend to reevaluate what's important in our life? So you're saying to think about your spiritual.
I mean, that's what the Buddhism emphasizes, as I mentioned earlier, that all those kind of incidents that we are not free from. We are not free from. And even we may have faced all those kind of things in our previous lives, because we had millions and millions and millions of previous lives. Right? So that's how that we should see and think about those things.
But that not to be attached. I guess as humans, our natural instinct is to be nurturing and loving to and caring, and we kind of have some sense of attachment for our children or parents. So you have to kind of be more conscious of that.
Well, I mean, the
not being overly.
Yes, that's why I said that it's impossible to live a life without having attachments. The thing is, you have to understand, with having some understanding that one day that we have to leave everyone, the children or the partners or anybody. When you have that idea, if something happened unexpectedly, that you can handle it quite well, because you have some idea in your mind. You won't be surprised. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so we've discussed 2 stanzas. The third one, Nacha kuddham samachare, Nacha kuddham samachare, Kinchi yena vinyu pare upavadeyum. Kinchi yena vinyu pare upavadeyum. Upavadeyum. Sukhinova kemino hontu. Kemino hontu. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Okay. Nacha kuddham samachara. He should not commit any slight wrong, so that other wise men might find fault in him. So, you should not do something even small, bad thing, which wise men find faults. Who are the wise men here? Wise men simply means in Buddhist teachings the Buddhas and the Arahantas and the monks or the people who have gone forth in their spiritual stages, higher stages. They are once called wise men, right? But generally that there are some people we recognize as wise people, right? It's not about education or something like that, right? You have to have understanding about something, what is something good, what is something bad. When you do something good, you can get good results or something like that idea, right? Simply. So once the Buddha advised his son Rahula, you should not lie even for a joke, right? So that's how we have to train ourselves, not to do any even slight something wrong. Then Sukhinova Kemino. It's kind of like wish, how we should develop the loving kindness, thoughts of loving kindness. May all beings without exception be happy and safe. Now, having those qualities which we discussed briefly earlier, you are about to start practicing loving kindness, right? So those earlier that what we discussed, maybe around 14 or 15 qualities that we have to develop, we have to develop in our hearts. So there are, I mean lengthy descriptions about each one of those qualities, how you develop them and all those things. So when we develop loving kindness, right, there's no exception, right? I mean, we have to spread our loving kindness, all the human beings, all the beings, right? So here, may all beings without exception be happy and safe. So then, the fourth stanza, it explains who are the beings that we should spread the loving kindness. So, what does it mean, loving kindness? Have I taught you earlier? No. Metta here, kindness, loving. Actually, the loving friendliness is a more suitable word, because we have something called kindness and compassion. Anyway, so loving kindness simply means that wishing others' well-being, right? Wishing, I mean honest wishing or sincere wish of others' well-being, including myself. So, yekechi pana bhutatte, yekechi pana bhutatte, bhutatte, tasava tavarava, follow it, tasava tavarava, anavasesa, digava ye mahantava, ye mahantava, majjima rasa khanuka tula. These are varieties of beings, right? Whatsoever living beings that exist. Yekechi pana bhutati. Tasava. Tasava means the weak. The text says tasava means the people who are not enlightened, right? Who have weak mindset. Then, or tasava tavarava anavasesa, or strong. So weak people or strong people means people who have strong mindset, like noble ones, right? Then the long, diga means long beings, long animals or something like that. Then stout or medium, maybe short, right? Short, not long, not medium, in between animals or beings. Then medium size, then short, small or large. And it explains about the beings. So we have to be able to spread loving kindness towards all those living beings. Maybe people or beings who have weak mindset or strong mindset, or long animals or small ones or medium-sized ones, something like that. Then dittava yeva addittha. Dittava, repeat it. Dittava yeva addittha. Yecha dure vasanti avidure. Bhutava sambhavesiva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Yes. Dittha means those seen. Right here it says that visible in the brackets. So beings that we can explain like who we have seen, right? Or the beings are visible. Then additta means unseen. right? Beings we haven't seen, or beings that who are not visible, right? As we discussed, there are a lot of beings who are not visible for us as well. So additta. Yecha dure vasanti avidure. The beings, those who are dwelling far or near. Right? Dure means far. Near. Avidure means near. The beings who are living near or far. Then bhutala sambhavesha, those who are born and those who are to be born. To be born means maybe in mother's womb or something like that. Okay? May all beings without exception be happy-minded. Right? These are the loving kindness thoughts about all the living beings, the seen ones or unseen ones, or visible or invisible, and who are born or unborn, something like that. All these, all the beings are included here, right? Then naparo parang nikubbeta, naparo parang nikubbeta, nati manyeta khatta chinam kanchi vyarosana patiga sanya nanya manyassa dukkha miccaya. Naparo parang nikubeda, let no one deceive another. Right? Here let means the wish. Right? Wish, no one deceive another, nor despair anyone anywhere. Right? Deceive or cheat. Then vyarosana patikasanya. In anger or ill will, let them not to wish each other harm. Right? So we should develop this kind of mindset, no matter who they are, what they do, right? So when we hear something about bad people, we have some idea, right? Some sort of like to be punished or something like that. You know, it's okay to agree with those things, but like violent ideas that we should not improve in our mind, develop in our mind. So අපි මේක කරනවා.
එතකොට මෙවරන්න පුළුවන් අපිට නැත්තම් වැඩි වේවා.
කොහොමද වෙලාවක් නැදින්නේ. අපි හයිනවා. එතකොට where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so to wish no one to deceive each other or cheat each other, then each other with vyarosana patikasanya, with hatred or ill will, with those thoughts. So do you understand that what it means?
Yeah.
So it wishing about other people, to not to deceive other people, not to cheat each other with anger or ill will. Right? So we'll wind up here at the moment, and next time that we can discuss the rest of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. Right? We have 4 stanzas more that we can discuss. Anything to clarify what I've been explaining here, or everything to be explained?
What's the difference between when you meditate with loving kindness and then chanting this one?
Well, when you practice meditation is a bit higher than you chant, right? So you are more concentrated and your wishes are strong. right? So when you recite or when you do chanting, it's not that much kind of like calmness in the mind, right? So it's still it's good, right? Because you can calm your mind down and all these things. So dear children, read these things again and again, okay? And the most importantly, find some question to ask.
Yeah.
All right? So what's that?
It's a little gift.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. So we'll meet for this. Bring the leaflet again next time. Sit up there.
මොකද මම බ්‍රහස්පතින්ද ගියා පන්සලට. නෑ ලොකු හම්බුනේ තියෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද කොහමද කුටි හිටියේ.
කමන්නේ හදිස්සියක් නැහැ.
මම දෙවෙනි හම්බුනේ යන්න පුළුවන් අපිට. මම දවල් 2:05 අතර ගන්නවා.
සතිය දවසට
2:05 නේ කිව්වේ. හරි.
ඒක මේ channel එක හදිස්සියක් නෑ අපිට වෙලාවට.
හරි නෑ. හරි.
All right, you're welcome. All right, see you. All right. හොඳයි නෑ භාවනා වැඩසටහනත් එක්කනේ. හරි හරි. දුවගේ නම මොකද්ද? ශෂින්ද්‍රී. දී.